All right, so number 5. Number 5 has a couple of fractions in it, and they both have 2 in the denominator. So this one, it might make sense to go ahead and multiply the whole thing by 2 to get rid of those fractions. We just need to remember that when we multiply by 2, we need to multiply both sides by 2, and we need to multiply every term by 2. So when we multiply this by 2, we get negative 11. That 2 on the bottom goes away. Equals, we multiply this negative 5 by 2, we get negative 10. Plus, and then when we multiply this 1/2 by 2, that becomes 1. So this is just sine of theta plus pi over 4. So now we got rid of all the fractions. We're still trying to get sine by itself, so let's add 10 to both sides. That gives us negative 1 equals sine of theta plus pi over 4. Now that we've got sine by itself, even though we've got some stuff in the parentheses here, sine is by itself. So now we need to get the take the inverse sine of both sides. So the inverse sine of negative 1, in other words, sine of what is equal to negative 1. If we look on our unit circle, we'll see that the inverse sine of negative 1 is going to be 3 pi over 2. And then inverse sine of the sine of theta plus pi over 4 is just theta plus pi over 4. That inverse sine and the sine cancel each other out, and we're left with what's in the parentheses. All right, and so now to get theta by itself, we need to subtract pi over 4 from both sides. So let me do this over here. So we get theta equals 3 pi over 2 minus pi over 4. And now we need to get a common denominator here, so we can multiply top and bottom by 2. So this is 6 pi over 4 minus pi over 4 gives us our 5 pi over 4, and that's our answer.